Hey guys, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. I know it's a little bit late, had a lot going on today. It is in the morning. Check out my hat there. You guys can see, my battery might be a little dead here tonight. I didn't charge my battery. So you guys can see, I'll take my battery off. Hopefully my battery will work. Otherwise, sometimes I forget to charge my hat. Anyway, my hat says believe me achieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. It is a little late. Thank you for being here, whether you're here at 1:19 a.m. or 1:19 in the afternoon, or you're here perhaps at noon or midnight, or maybe you're even here at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate that. Let's get right into the master topic, which starts on a Saturday, rolls with your week, and finishes up on a Friday. So the weekly master topic is our life is like film. And film has a lot of similarities to life in how it's developed, and we talked a lot about this. So the granular topic for tonight is from struggle to strength, embracing the power of positivity. Show 3, series 3, which means we're in the third year, show 15, and episode number 4. All right, let's get right into this because I know it is late for a lot of you guys. And if you're on the West Coast, well, it's like 10:20 p.m. over there. So let's get right into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is harnessing the power of perspective. Yes. So the power of perspective is very important. But I want to talk about something probably a little bit before that, and that is the fact that when we have perspective, we need to also understand that there's adversity. And so adversity is going to pop up in a lot of different places, but it's not that we see adversity, it's how we choose to handle adversity. So I think those are some pretty cool things. Um, and the next thing I want to talk about is, how do we harness that power of perspective? You know, one man can see something and say, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible." Another person say, "Oh, well, gee, that's amazing." I'm gonna give you. There was a story a while back. It was a man who went to a country and saw a problem that no one, no one was wearing shoes. Okay. And so it's actually the story of the shoe salesman. You probably know it. And so, you know, this whole thing happened about attitude. So one guy said, "Oh, gee, it's just terrible. These people don't have any shoes. I can't sell anything." But then another salesperson went over there and he says, "Oh my gosh, you guys have to send me all the shoes you have because nobody has shoes and everybody's got to wear shoes." See, I turned it around. So attitude is everything. And this is the reason why we get what we want, others don't get what they want. It's not that they can't do it, it's their attitude. So 80% of success is due to our attitude. I like to say it's more than that, but that's what the studies show. An optimistic attitude will allow us to see opportunities in all the difficulties that life holds for us. So I'm going to give you guys an example. Many of you guys know we were doing this move until our new facility is ready. So we had moved into a smaller facility, and then what we actually did was we had to move our other stuff into a storage facility. Well, we got a note about a month ago saying that they're going to go out of business. And I was like, "Oh, now what do we do?" Right? Like what do we do? And, I was looking around for storage space that wasn't that expensive. And first thing I want to tell you is you never trust the storage people. You never trust the moving companies because so what we had was about roughly 400 square feet. Okay. And I know this because we filled 2 moving trucks, which were 26-inch moving trucks, and that's roughly about 196 square feet. Okay, and so if you take 196, ladies and gentlemen, you multiply it times 2, you get about 392. So give or take 400, right? Eight square feet off from 400. So I had done some research. I went on this thing online called like this garage network, and I found a garage that was like pretty good price. It was like It was like a 20. It was actually marketed as saying it was like this 20 by 30, but really it wasn't, because when I got out there, the guy had black tape everywhere. So it was 20 by 30, but then it was also by 14. So that was actually 8,400 square feet if we could stack up in a lot of areas. And so, this looked really good. I did the checking and everything was fine. In fact, I had checked it just this past Sunday. Everything was just beautiful. And I was ready to move it. I mean, I already had paid for the first month. And so then the next thing that happened was my team came, and it was actually today, and they went out there and asked all the questions to make sure everything was good with the truck and everything was going to fit okay. And the owner kind of didn't even know his own property. So we get there with the truck, and we can't even get the truck in because there's like no way. And so that challenge, which anyone would see like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? I can't do anything. What am I going to do? And so what I believe the Lord was telling me, or universe was telling me, is that, John, you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be somewhere else. So I went online and I did some research, and I found something the other day, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I found this facility not too far from me, one of the only ones I could find, probably the cheapest one. And I found that they had one 11 by 21 facility, which was pretty good. 11 by 21. So 11 by 21, that's about 231 square feet. But when you stack and do everything right, you can make things fit. So the beauty of this was that it wasn't that far from my office where we were temporarily right now. And the other beauty is that I was going to get the first 2 months free of rent. It's like $300. So like the first 2 months free. And pretty amazing, you know? We didn't finish the whole move because there were some complications, everything happening. So we have to do some more tomorrow. But the other thing was, I filled the tank of the truck that we rented. So you could look at this, oh my gosh, I'm going to waste it. I'm like, no, we're not going to waste it. We're just going to tell them we want to keep it another day. And we're able to harness that power. So I kept looking at perspective. I kept looking at the fact that there's a reason why I was brought to this facility. And I also found out from the very nice lady, Mabel, who was at the desk, very, very nice lady. She told me that the owner's always looking to do things, always looking to grow. I gave her my card, and she's going to maybe pass it on. Now, maybe something will happen, maybe it won't. But it's all about having that positive attitude, which I think so many people, they want to have it, but then they look at the surroundings. Like, oh my gosh, I can't be positive. Like, I got this bill, I got this, I got that. Just keep looking at the positives. What I promise you is that if you keep doing that, more positive comes to your life. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, right? Just like if you're trying to lose weight, it doesn't happen overnight, right? Okay. So we can find a silver lining in anything. And discovering that key will allow us to transform any negative situation into a positive. I mean, that's really cool, right? So the power of perspective is where I want to go next. So when we think about film, right? Film, when we take the picture, we have a negative. We develop the negative into a positive. So this is a really cool thing. We take the negative into the positive. What else in life needs to go from negative to positive? What else has to go? Well, one thing is a battery. Okay. Battery has negative and positive terminals. And so we have things flowing from negative to positive. Now, they always showed that it should be positive to negative, but actually we found that was wrong. People just accept it because it's a very similar standard, but really it goes from negative to positive. So as we kind of brainstorm and almost wrap up tonight, I want you to just kind of brainstorm what in your life has been negative and what can you take from negative to positive. You're like, John, I have no idea. I don't have time for this. Well, first thing you got to do is put the mindset on that you do have time for it. So you say, John, I don't have time. I'm so busy. Okay, so let's just pretend right now that you did have time. Can you do that? Pretend for me that you did have time just for a moment. Just humor me. And so when we start to give energy to something positive, okay, we start to see something else. A new life is on the way. A new life is on the way. And so the power of positivity, the power of perspective can transform something to being negative or positive. So we know that in the film world, and we'll talk about other negatives to positive this week, you have to go from negative to positive to get your prince, right? And I think that's pretty cool. So let's talk about a practical strategy because there's more things we're going to talk about. So how do we make a negative situation positive? Well, one thing is to play the pretend game. What would this be like if it was positive? Just, I know it's not positive for you, but let's just pretend that it was positive. What would it be like? What would you act like if it was positive? If everything was going the way you wanted to, how would you act and feel right now? That'll blow your mind because you're thinking about it from the perspective of it is positive. Okay. And so what we're really doing when we look at something positively is we shift the negative to the positive. We pivot. Now, I was having a conversation with someone. It was actually a realtor who was helping me find a new place. And we were talking about the fact that, in life, you have to know how to go from negative to positive. Or she had mentioned you have to be able to pivot. So I said, pivoting is great, right? And you have to be adaptable. But in business, being a businessman, you have to know that pivoting does cost money, right? And there are resources that you can be wasting, whether it's time, whether it's people, whether it's money. So pivoting costs money. So that's the thing you have to understand is that everything is relative. And so if someone said to me, John, how do I turn a negative situation into a positive one? How do I do that? Well, one thing you could do, I'm just going to give you another tip. You could start a journal. Maybe you can't think of how to be positive, but suppose a friend was going through this and I wanted to comfort him or her. What would I say to that friend? The first thing you have to do is say, stop. Stop. And I say that because when somebody's going on and on and on, oh my gosh, Joe, you don't know what's happened with this and what happened with this, and I don't have this and I don't have that. I was like, just say, stop. And they might not respond to you. So you say it again, stop. And maybe even real stop. And what a real cool thing to do is, depending how well you know your friend, you could take some water, right? And whether it's a glass or it's a bottle, and you could just throw it at their face. And I'm like, well, what happened? What would we do that for? I want you to stop. Yeah, but you don't understand what I'm going through. And I just throw more water. What are you doing? I want you to stop. And then he goes back. He says, well, but John, you don't understand. I don't have the money. I threw the water at him again. And so he's starting to realize that he can't do that anymore because you're going to keep hitting him with water. And even though it's funny, it's like annoying for him. All right. So we can journal. We can use the stop technique. We can use the how would I respond to my friend technique. These are just a couple, and we'll talk about more later on in the week. But knowing that when we go from negative to positive, good things can happen. Today, when I was able to embrace the fact that we even had all these challenges, and I didn't see the challenges as obstacles, I saw them. First, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And I said, okay, wait, okay, let's just stop. Let's figure out what we do have, and let's figure out how we have to work. Now, we had another situation. We were in the process of unloading. And unfortunately, some of the things slipped. We're not a moving company. So some of the things had slipped a little bit and moved around. And we opened the moving truck and we're like, okay, what do we do? And so we're sitting, and they're all sitting like for a few minutes, like, I don't know what we're going to do. And so I just get up there and I'm like, okay, I know it looks bad. I know this looks challenging. I know some things are all falling over, but where do we need to start? Like, what piece of this do we need to move? And everything was all interlaced and it was a real mess. Okay, so what piece do we need to move first so we can move other pieces? Like a jigsaw puzzle, right? You have to do this corner first, do these corner, and then you can put it together. So I'm like, okay, we need to get the machine that's on top up first, but we can't. Why? Because the machine's caught on something. So we need a guy or two to help lift that. And so we just kept having these little mini epiphanies. We had a machine that was about 450 pounds, very bulky. So we had a pallet jack. And it was still hard because, we're rolling up the ramp of the truck with, these portable ramps, and they're attached to the truck. And you have very limited clearance. So we just made the pallet jack get up there. And we got this unit on there, but guess what? It was on the wrong way. So we had to keep playing with it. So as we got it off the truck, then we figured we'd reposition it when we got it off the truck. And we had to keep not moving it, but we had to shimmy it. So we learned that in moving, when you try, if you can't lift something, you might not be able to fully turn it, but you can shimmy it a little bit. And by shimmying it, you can just kind of get it. So we had to get the whole position changed 360 degrees. Sound like a big deal. So you just embrace what you have at the moment and you go from there. The other thing we did today that I think made us really great is we celebrated our successes. We celebrated the fact. Now, the other thing I didn't tell you is that this place was closing at exactly 6 p.m. The lady at the front desk, she's like, oh, you have to be out of here at 6:01. If you're not, the cops come because the alarm comes on and we don't want people staying overnight and like homeless and those. I said, so I kept saying, gee, can you do anything better for us? And she kept telling me no. And then little things kept happening wrong, like the pallet jack, they couldn't find one. It was all messed up. And then the ramp was wrong and we had to switch things around. And so we had to find other loading docks. And so they were all showing. So finally I come back and we're finishing the paperwork. She says, oh, John, she says, I'll tell you what. She says, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you actually have till about 6:30. The alarm doesn't come on until 6:30. I leave here about 6:15, 6:20 to make sure everything's all locked up before I go because the alarm just comes on. So I thought that was nice. So we had that little bonus. And so we finished at 5:30. We put a team effort. We got everything done. And we still got to come back tomorrow and finish. But we finished half of the moving job. So I say this to you because what we see in our eyes, like, oh my gosh, like, how do I make this work? Just work on a small piece. I'm going to give you another example. So I'm in the process of working on a new marketing project for a new sales campaign we're doing for one of my companies. And it never worked in the past. Not because it wasn't a good idea, but because I tried to harness everything. So what I decided was I'm just going to start with one or two. And I'm just going to start with this thing we're doing, just one or two. And before you know it, I had like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, these weren't sales, but these were like relationships to getting into different communities. And I was like, wow, I was like, this is pretty cool. So when we understand the perspective that we have, and even though it might appear negative, even though there might be everything going wrong, I just said to myself, how can we make this work? We're going to make it work. So I kept saying in my mind, what will it look like when it works? And I kept picturing the truck empty, the truck empty, the truck empty, the truck empty. And you know what? In an hour and a half, the truck was totally empty. So you have to understand that a lot of people will give you misinformation for a couple of reasons. One, either A, they don't know. B, they're out to rip you off. So, like, for example, the one guy that I asked to come and give an estimate, he saw what we had in space in the one warehouse. And he says, oh, it's 40 by 10. So if you do the math on 40 by 10, that's 400 square feet. He's coming back to me and telling me that we need almost 1,400 square feet. Like, did he not think, I mean, regardless of whether he knew I was an engineer or not, Did he think I was stupid? So part of me said to myself, I'm going to call him back. And I said to myself, why should I call him back? There's no point. What benefit is that going to prove that he lied to me or that he was trying to rip me off? Why? It's going to get people more aggravated. Why? Just let it go. Let it go. So today we had a lot of challenges. You know what I did? I let all those things go. The first place we moved into that didn't work out, the guy was a little nasty. I just let it go. And I just knew that something better was going to come up. So you have to understand that life is about perspective. Sometimes if we change the position that we're looking at something at, maybe if we do that, or maybe if we change how we're looking at something, so we might have to change the vehicle we're using to work on a project. Like, let's say, you're drilling holes, right? And you might need to drill holes with a drill, but for whatever reason, the drill broke, for whatever reason. So you have no way to drill. Now you're drilling through balsa wood, which is very thin, easy wood. So I'm like, I got another idea. I could use it all and very gently make the hole because I only need a tiny hole. So you see how that works? Your mind will keep giving you ideas to propel you forward when you are grateful for what you already are doing. And so tomorrow we're going to finish the rest of the move. But it taught me that we have to just think for the moment, be grateful for the moment. Again, we're not a moving company. And just work with what we have and think about the end goal and think about not how we're going to get every piece off. Just think about how we're going to get one piece off. Then once that's off, okay, then we'll worry about the next piece. He's like, well, how are we going to get that off? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just worry about getting this piece off first. Then we'll worry about getting that piece off. See, that's how it works. All right, guys, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It is late tonight, guys. Please do like, love, and support all my amazing content. I'm so grateful for you guys doing that. Definitely remember to like and love my TikTok so we can get more streamers there and we can stream live on that. That would be really cool. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your evening, everyone. I'll catch you real soon, okay?